special guest is Mr. Jimmy Benefield. Nice to meet you, Jimmy.
Nice. Thank you for having me, Tim.
You're welcome. Have a seat there. Jimmy is running for the District 4 House Representative.
State Representative for House District 4, yes, sir.
And you are originally from Tipper County?
Born and raised right here in Tipper County. My wife and I both are.
Good, good. Now, y'all go to, what church you go to?
We go to Dumas Baptist Church. We've been members out there for about some 30 plus years, and I've been a deacon out there for the last 18.
Good. And tell us, you went to Pine Grove, or what school did you go to?
Well, went to Pine Grove all my life. Jean started the school at Center, the old Center School, and they went out there for 1 year, and then they closed the school down, and she came to Pine Grove, and somewhere along the way we met.
Y'all met?
Well, we met, yeah.
Now, I noticed, I guess it was the month of July, y'all had an anniversary, or was that then, or was it June?
It was July the 15th. We celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary, yeah.
Wow.
We have, Jean and I have 2 children, Jimmy and Stephanie, and we have twin granddaughters. And they called this afternoon and said they'll be up this weekend, so we're looking forward to seeing our granddaughters this weekend.
Good, 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 good. Now, Jimmy, you know, the state of Mississippi, you know, the District 4 is very important. You know, it's one of the most important races there is on our ticket this year in the Tipper County area. Right. Tipper County is hurting for jobs. And if you get the office this coming November, what would you do, or how would you go about trying to create some jobs for the state of Mississippi and Tipper County?
Well, Tim, you know, government really can't create jobs. When the government creates jobs, they're spending taxpayers' dollars to pay people, and that's not real jobs. The only way the government can help to create jobs is to make an atmosphere that's conducive to business coming in here. We need to hold our tax rates down. One big tax that the businesses here in Tipper County were probably familiar with are the inventory tax. That means just because it's sitting in their back room, at the end of the year they have to pay taxes on it, and I don't see why they should have to do that until they sell the product. I
agree with you on that. You know, that's, as a small business owner, you know, I've dealt with that over the years myself, you know, and every year you had to turn back around and re-inventory everything.
Right.
And, I remember down in Meridian when I had a location, I had one of the guys came in there, and I had an old filing cabinet that somebody gave me. He taxed it, you know, I paid taxes on that.
Exactly.
Know? And it was, you know, it's about falling apart, you know. But I asked him how much did he put down. He said it's worth about $25, you know. And I said, come on now. So, yeah, we do need help there. Right. You know, the people of Tipper County, and just not Tipper County, we get taxed to death. You know, just on different things, and it's time that the government really steps up and take responsibility. You know, quit putting it on the taxpayers' problem stuff. Right. Now, you was a member of the Mississippi National Guard. Are you still there, or?
No, I retired in 2008, but I'm a retired sergeant major, and I spent 34 years in the military. 10 years of that was on active duty, and Jean and I lived for 4 years in Germany and 6 years in Oklahoma. And when I come off active duty, we came back here about 1990, and I joined my old Guard unit in Boonville just in time to get mobilized for the first Desert Storm. And of course, the war ended before they sent us over, so as soon as it ended, they sent us back home. But we were mobilized about 6 months during that period. And then in 1993, I went to work full-time for the Guard and then retired in 2008 with them.
Wow. You know, the Guard is very important. You know, I got a nephew that's in the Guard, and he travels everywhere.
Right.
You know, and I guess that B-52, is that what it's called? Big old plane, or?
Right now, the C-17 is the big plane that they're flying in a lot.
Wow. Yeah. That's something. Now, let's talk about education. Education is very important, and usually when gets down to the government's office down there in Mississippi, the first thing they want to cut is education. Right. You know? And how can we restructure that? I mean, is it anywhere that we can restructure that? It's like this coming Saturday, Tammy is going to Staples to buy school supplies, and she knows that she's got to buy an extra amount because some of the kids can't afford pencils and paper and all that. What can we do to change that?
Well, we're going to fund education one way or the other. If the state doesn't have the money or decides they're not going to spend it or send it to the counties, to the school districts, then that comes to the school district, and the school district will go to the supervisors, and they won't ask for, they'll just tell them how much money they need to make up for the shortfall that the state didn't send them.
Right.
And so we're going to pay it, whether it's state tax dollars that are sent to us, or whether it's our county tax dollars that's spent on education. So we're gonna fully fund it one way or the other. State, I think they know that sometimes, and instead of doing what's right down there, they put it off on the counties and the supervisors and the school districts to come up with that extra money.
And it is tough, you know.
It's tough.
And, you know, especially how the economy is right now, you know, and children trying to pay for their lunches and things like that. Right. And it's tough enough just to get back and forth to work with the amount of gasoline that it is. Yeah. You know, and so there are some single parents out there that are struggling that actually do need the help, you know, and I hope we can work that out, you know, straighten the education part there.
Absolutely.
Now, is it any way that we can lower the taxes, you know, property taxes? I know it might not be nothing to do with you, but, you know, what does your job entitle, you know, if you do get the position down there?
Well, the bills, we'll be looking at bills that affect the whole state, so we won't be doing anything that affects just this one area here in Tipper County or House District 4, which is Tipper, a little bit of Benton, and a little bit of Union County. So all the bills that we'll be looking at in Jackson will affect the whole state, whether it be in taxes or spending. Like the Highway 15, we need to finish 4-laning it. I think the contracts are led up to about Faulkner, but we need to finish it from Faulkner on up. So when you're in Jackson, you'll have to work across the aisle, work with the other representatives, and convince them that it's a worthy project, a money-worthy project, to finish 15, that it will bring some kind of probably economic growth will be the best way to go at it. Convince them that we need to finish that project.
Right. Now, can you work both sides? I mean, can you get along with the Democrats? And, you know, right now they're having problems like that in Washington, you know, who wants to be the big dog, you know. Right. And by your character that I'm looking at, I think you can do that, you know.
I can work with Democrats and Republicans both. You know, what I want to see is what's best for Mississippi. I'm going down there to represent the people of House District 4, but together we're representing all of Mississippi, and as long as we've got the best interests of Mississippi and the constituents that are back in our home districts, their well-being at heart, I think we can work across the aisles and get things done.
That's the most important thing, you know, is working together, you know, and sometimes we, you know, have to take our gloves off and just say, hey, listen, guys, we need to do this. This is what's going to better our state and, you know, our people of Mississippi, you know, and we need that. Now, the Highway 15 is very important, and it's going to go up to Faulkner, and from Faulkner to the Tennessee line there. And I noticed a couple of weeks ago that Walnut was looking at moving the highway through there. And it's very important that we get that 4-lane up here to bring that industry in here. Yep. And I don't, you know, I know the little small towns sometimes suffer over it because it bypasses it. But, you know, we just got to bring in some industry there that can take over that loss of income.
That's what we need to do.
Because don't need any little ghost town in the state of Mississippi.
Right.
You know, we need to put the people to work and 18-wheeler school and stuff. Right. Is it education? I want to go back to education because, you know, on that, does the casinos have anything to do with that, with the money on that issue, or where's the money?
Well, I believe when we brought the casinos in, it was meant that money was going to fully fund our education, and that's probably where our money's coming from. The problem is that there's just not enough money being generated out of the casinos to fully fund it. We were fully funding it with tax dollars before from a different place, and now we're fully funding it with casino tax dollars. But those tax dollars that were coming from another place, we're using them elsewhere. You know, so it's kind of the 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You know, we take it out of one pot or the other to get our money on.
Okay. Now, on the campaign field, I heard a lot about bonds. You know anything about that, what they're talking about?
they're talking about our debt, I imagine. Right now, we are $4 billion in bond debt. When we've overspent, and Mississippi has a law, we have to have a balanced budget. They have to balance their budget, but the only thing we have to balance is the general fund. Now, we have a lot of tax dollars that come into Mississippi and go to Jackson, but never see the general fund. That money is spent on education. Some of it goes directly to education, to the department and Department of Health Services and things like that, but it never goes through the general fund. So we need to get our spending under control down there, and until you get your spending under control, you're probably not going to lower your tax rates.
I agree on that. Now, labor restrictions, how do you feel on that?
Well, Mississippi is a right-to-work state, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of industry is coming here. I just heard today where GE is building a new aviation engine plant in Jones County in Ellisville. This is the second one that they will have in Mississippi, and it's going to be one of the most state-of-the-art plants that they have in the world.
Right. And
it's coming here to Mississippi. But one of the reasons that it is because of we're a right-to-work state.
Yeah, and that's good, to have that right-to-work state there. Free market, job growth, free market.
Yeah, free market, we learned about that in high school. It was supply and demand. Free market, though, doesn't mean free for all, so the government needs to have some policies and some regulations to keep it from being a free-for-all in businesses. If we make the rules and every business knows what the rules are, knows what rules they have to play by, that everybody has a level playing field, everybody has the same opportunity to create business and to grow business. And free market then is the only way you can grow real jobs, private enterprise.
Now, let's go back to education here. Our dropout rate, what is it, 16 to 38% now? 16 to
38%, depending on whose numbers that you're looking at. But I've said before that 16% is too many of our kids walking away from high school without a high school diploma. A high school diploma is the first building block for a student to either further his education. He needs one to go into the military if that's what he wants to do, or he needs one, pretty much needs one to get a job anywhere now and make a living for his family. But so we need to identify those at-risk students. We need to identify them early, find out what their interests are, and try to show them how that education and their interests can make them a livelihood if they put the two together.
Right. As a small business owner, when I was doing some hiring people, that a lot of people didn't have an education. They only had like the 10th, 11th grade, and they always had to bring somebody in there to write their name and stuff, and it was sad.
It was.
And how are they, and it's still for the ones that are getting diplomas, they are somehow easing through. The teachers ain't teaching them or something. Something's falling apart there.
Yeah, I've heard that. So.
And it's sad. Now, what about the 10th, 11th, 12th graders? It's they go to school, and do we have any like job training? This used to be the capital of furniture. Now we got Toyotas coming in there. Is it anything that we can teach our 10th, 11th, 12th graders how to assemble cars or anything?
Well, I don't know about assembling cars, but I do know that we have programs like that in our VOTEC. And the seniors, maybe juniors and seniors, they go to the regular classes for the biggest part of the day, and then noon, 1 o'clock, they a bus or drive over to the VOTEC and learn a skill over there, whether it be electricity, being an electrician, carpenter, masonry, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
So we are utilizing our VOTEC. We could probably go a little further than that even, and maybe create some apprenticeship programs. I think maybe, I don't know, we'd have to talk to the Ford dealership, Chevy dealership, and see if some students that are interested in body work, engine work, could come up and shadow one of their mechanics, just an hour or two a day, maybe 3 days a week, to see if that's what he wants to do, and show them that there's a lot of computer There's a lot of computer work now that goes into diagnosing and fixing autos. It's not shade tree mechanic stuff anymore.
No, you can ask Tammy that, because we got a car and we just put a new motor in it, and the computer went out on it, and so I called one of my shade tree mechanics. He said, look underneath the dash. So I looked underneath the dash and didn't find it, and it's behind the motor. And so me getting out there with a screwdriver and stuff, and I got parts everywhere. So I had to hire somebody to come fix the car.
Put it all back together.
Back
That's
together.
right.
So I can work on a vacuum cleaner back, and I work on a Ford and stuff. Education is very important. Labor restrictions, we talked about that. What's some things that, is coming to your mind that you went to Philadelphia this week and you met with some, you heard some speeches from different ones that's running for governor here for the state. What is some things that, that Jimmy can do for the state of Mississippi? What can you,
Well, again, we need to make our business climate such that business wants to come here. We did a good job under Governor Barber in the tort reform. We cut down on our lawsuits and the amount of money, because when a business is afraid of getting sued and knows he's going to have to spend big dollars on a lawsuit, it makes them not want to come in here.
No.
And the tort reform didn't stop people from suing businesses. They just kind of cut down on the amount of the money so that they could at least afford to pay their insurance companies to take care of those kind of things.
Yeah, because a lot of the lawyers just got a pocketbook a little bit fat, and basically what it was for, And it is, we lost a lot of doctors over the years.
Right, we
did.
did.
That left Mississippi because of that, And so it's very important trying to get that back, to get businesses back here, And I can drive down the road and I see a lot of empty warehouses, and they're just sitting there falling apart because there's nobody there, to put people to work, And it's just not here in Tippah County. It's all over the world.
That's exactly right. We need to bring jobs in here. And I think one other thing we need to do is we've got a lot of local businesses right here in Tippah County. People, men and women, invested their own time, energy, and money. We didn't have to make up tax concessions for them. We didn't have to build them big factories. They didn't wait on Highway 15 to be 4-lane. They came in here and started a business on their own and made the business successful, made a livelihood for their own family, and was successful enough to be able to hire a few more Tippah Countyans. I think if we could sit down with these local small business owners and see what it is that the government could do for them, what their state government could do for them, just to give them the confidence that when they are successful, we're not going to tax them to pay our $4 billion debt. If they have that kind of confidence, I believe they could grow their businesses and hire one person each. And if we've got several hundred small businesses, on Monday morning, we've just put several hundred people to work.
Right.
And we didn't have to do anything but just kind of give them a good feeling that we're behind them and that we support them in their success and in their business endeavors.
Right. It's, as a small business owner, it's hard nowadays too, because you've got so many liabilities. You are responsible for insurance, building, just different things. Then you have the government come in on you and tax you to death. It's just hard to put people to work.
Right.
And a lot of people need to realize that there are companies that want to come in, but we've got to get away from that taxing. It's very important. And jobs. I talk about education, jobs. It's very important for Tippah County. And the bills are very important too. But if a man cannot work, he cannot feed his family.
Exactly.
He can't pay his bills. And then our repossessions are going up in the county. Then when we do have a business that wants to look at us from out of state, and they say, man, there's too many foreclosures there, we don't want to go there. So we need to try to make our state, a little bit more appetizing for these businesses to come in.
And they look at all of this. They'll look at the tax structure. They look at the judicial system, the tort reform. They look at our tax base. They'll look at our education. If we've got a lot of uneducated people walking away from high school without diplomas, that will deter them because that cuts down on their workforce, cuts down on an educated workforce, which is what they're looking for.
Yeah, I remember back in '06, Canton, the Nissan plant down there, they shut it down for 2 weeks because there was one person forgot to put one screw in the motor there. So they had to do a bunch of recalls on their trucks down there, and it cost them millions of dollars. And just not the company it cost the workers. They couldn't work,
That's right.
And so they're starving, So, yeah, we do need to make sure our children are getting a very good education. It's very important, and to make sure we got the right people in place. I know it's a lot of teachers out there that are watching this tonight, and saying, yes, we need somebody like Mr. Benefield in the office, that are looking after us, because education is very important, and jobs are too. Now, let's talk about, I hear this a lot on the campaign, okay, that if you are elected, if any new person is elected into that office, that you're going to have a hard trouble getting around, meeting people and stuff like that, the right key people. How true is that?
It's not very true, because I was talking to some of them today at the Neshoba County Fair that are sitting representatives. 40 years ago, when you had one party in control and they didn't have any trouble getting a bill passed, then they didn't need freshmen. They could tell you to go sit in the corner and not do anything. But today, the split is going to be about 50-50 when this election is over with. And you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to need every freshman's vote to count a bill, to get a bill passed. And so you're going to have to take these new freshmen in, and you're going to have to mentor them. The House rules for representatives say that when I go down there, one of the first things I'll do is make out a list of 10 committees that I'd like to sit on. The new Speaker of the House, whoever it may be, will assign me to 2 of those committees that I asked for. If I had been there more than 4 years, if this was my second term, I'd go in and make that same 10 list request, and I would get to be assigned to 3. So anybody that's been there more than 4 years, they're going to get to sit on one committee more than I am. Past that, there are no guarantees. The Speaker of the House then assigns you to whatever committees that he wants you on, whether it be appropriations, ways and means, education, military, whatever it is, he assigns you the extra committees that he wants you to sit on. So you're only guaranteed to sit on 2. I am. If I had more than 4 years, I'd be guaranteed to sit on 3 committees. That's the only guarantees, and those are written in our House rules.
Yeah, and and the Tippah Countyans need to know that, because they don't need to be misled. We're going to the polls on August the 2nd, and we have the right to vote for the Democrat Party or the Republican Party there. And that, every candidate's a good candidate.
Absolutely.
And I'm not throwing stones at nobody. I just want to make sure we understand that part, because I hear that a lot on the campaign trail and stuff. And it needs to be cleared up, tell the truth, because we got too many. That's what's wrong with our world today. We got too much corruption in politicians, and we got some of them just got their hands out, wants money, 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 and that's it. But they're not looking after you and I, as taxpayers, What else is it? Can you tell the TV audience that you can do for, you're limited so much, and one thing I'm going to not get Mr. Benefield in it. There's nothing he can promise anybody that he can do, but just do a fair job, right?
That's right. You can't promise anybody anything. You can go down there and work with the other 121 representatives, and whoever goes from Tippah County will make 122. And you've got to get 50% or better of that vote to get any kind of a bill passed. So you've got to work with everyone down there to do that. And I think I can do that.
And, with the military experience that you have, leading people in the right direction. Now, did you do some recruiting in the military lately, or?
I didn't do any recruiting. My last duty assignment was with I was the chief instructor for the Armor School at Camp Shelby. And we were the premier guard unit, or guard training armor school in the nation. So as that, I had to prepare and submit budgets for money, material, and man hours to make sure that every armor soldier in the Guard across our nation got a school. And I would call schools in New York or out in Idaho, and if we couldn't find them a seat anywhere else, we would make sure they got a seat in our school in Mississippi. So we made sure that our soldiers got the training that they deserved and that they need before they're deployed overseas.
Right, and you know, it's very important, and you know, with that kind of knowledge that you have there, you know, looking after the other guy, you know, because
right.
we got some, you know, like I said, I'm not trying to make any sores on anybody, that we got people there just want to go there and just get a paycheck and that's it, you know, and set the feet up and relax and come back home. But we really need somebody in the state of Mississippi right now that can roll up their sleeves and go to work, you know, for what's right for us.
Well, and the representative job and the senator's job down there, although they probably are full-time jobs. When you come home, you're going to get lots of phone calls. You're going to have to help lots of people, even when you're not in Jackson. But it's actually classified as a part-time job. Somewhere along the way, the folks that have been down there for 30 or 40 years created their own retirement system. I don't think a part-time job in public service requires a retirement system. Now, I'm pretty sure I can't go down there and get their retirement system kicked out, you know, but
right.
That would be a good way to start, because I don't think we need a retirement to do a public service such as representative, especially a part-time job like that.
And they don't pay that much either.
It doesn't pay that much. So if you don't have it in your heart to serve the people, you're not getting much out of it.
You ain't getting much, and you know, the salary just, you know, going down there back and forth costs you a lot of, you know, getting down there. But you know, one thing about Mr. Benefield, he's ready to go to work. You know, you do have an opponent coming up in what, November. Well, right now you got one
in August
2nd. And then if you make it from there to November, you're going to have one on the Democratic ticket also.
And this is Tuesday's election. A lot of men and women have served and fought to make sure that we have this freedom to go vote. And so I think everybody should go out there and take advantage of that and go vote Tuesday for someone, for sure.
And, you know, it's talking about voting. Make sure you go with your heart and your mind made up and not getting corrupted and paid and vote for this person and whatever. You know, there is a lot of things going around here, just not in Tippah County, but all over the state of Mississippi. Make up the right choice that you're going to vote for on August the 2nd. And make the right move there, because this is the next 4 years that this representative is going to be there.
Absolutely.
And you do want somebody that's down in Jackson down there that is going to take care of you back home, that you have needs here. And it's just more than just sitting down there. And you got jobs, you got education, you got different issues that you have to work with. You know, then you got all this other stuff. You got bills that you have to work on and pass and make sure that it is going to affect us all. I'll give you 1 minute left. You can talk to the people here and just give them your heart, Jimmy.
All right. Well, like I said, I've worked to submit budgets, and then once the budget was submitted, I have had to live within that budget. And our general fund it is a law that we balance that, but there are a lot of dollars that don't go through the general fund. So we need to go down there and just get a hold on our spending. Until you hold your spending to the money that you've got coming in, then you're not going to ever be able to cut your taxes. Our debt is $4 billion right now. Our interest on that is $1 million a day. So we need to cut our debt down. Also, for the retirement for our teachers and for our state workers, we're about $12 billion shortfall on that. That we have unfunded. The state auditor's website, Mr. Stacy Pickering's website, says we underfunded state retirement by 195% last year. So we can go on the website and find that.
Okay.
I'd go down there and just work as hard as I can to make sure we could correct that. So if they'd go to the poll and vote for James Benefield on August the 2nd, I would really appreciate it.
And he's on the Republican ticket on August the 2nd. Also, starting Monday at 5 o'clock, we'll be on at 5 o'clock this Monday. This is the Tim Almand Show.
Come on up to Hopper's Furniture and Appliance. Hopper's Furniture and Appliance. Come see us for name brand home furnishings including Bassett, GE Appliances, Riverside, Beauty Rest, Ashley, Tempur-Pedic, Stylecraft Lamps, Toshiba. That's Hopper's Furniture and Appliance, 202 North Commerce Street in Ripley. You want the best? We've got it. Hopper.